Lana says, sorry, got few questions from last week regarding iframing a money site. You mentioned in your answer creating a theme mirrored page on a gsite and iframing the money site on it. Could you elaborate on what you mean by theme mirrored page? Okay, yes, we can. From what I understand, theme mirroring is creating a property stacks that align with the categories on your site. When you say money site, you are actually iframing the site you actually want to rank on the gsite. Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about. So when we say money site, that's whatever your primary asset is for your project. Typically, it's going to be a self-hosted site. Most of the time on WordPress. It doesn't have to be, but most of the time it's going to be a self-hosted site. It doesn't have to be, by the way. You could use your Google site as your money site, whatever. My point is, whatever your primary asset is for the project that you're working on, most likely it's going to be a self-hosted site. That's what we call a money site. It's just a term to describe whatever the primary asset is, okay? So from there, yes, on your G site, right? So again, theme mirroring is all about creating a one-to-one ratio of your site structure, your main property, your main website site structure across all of your entity assets. So that's why we talk about theme mirroring onto your G site. So creating, if you've got, 4 top-level categories or 4 services or 4 products, right, that you're going to be selling on your site, then we would mirror the 4. So you'd have your main G site, which is going to be your brand, right? So basically the home page of the G site is your brand and whatever primary keyword is. But then you're going to have pages on the G site that are mirrored after your money site pages, your primary website pages, right? And the same thing with your drive stack. It's going to have the primary folder, which is going to be branded, plus your primary keyword. Then again, the expansion service, which would be the theme mirroring, would be to create subfolders within your primary GStack folder that each one of them optimize for a particular product or service or category on your site. Does that make sense? So whatever the structure, first start with on-page structure of your primary asset. Again, go take a look at Bruce Clay's silo architecture article. You can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/semantic mastery, use the channel search feature, type in silo architecture. Or silo structure, whatever, you'll see there's videos, there's even a playlist where I very specifically talk about how to set up silo structure on a website. Then once you've done that correctly, then you go out and you start to build out those entity assets or purchase them and have us do it. But you start to mirror that same structure across everything you do, across your content marketing, across your entity assets, everything that you do, right? So again, if you've got a GMB, for example, a Google My Business profile, and you have content silos on your main site, then publish content to your GMB profile using GMB posts, and you want to stack them the same way that you would stack content within your silos, right? So you're adding depth to silos, right? So there's width and how many categories there are. So you could have a mono silo site, which means one silo, but you just add a bunch of depth to it, which means supporting articles that are within the same keyword theme. And you just add additional articles, are constantly adding depth to the site, which builds relevancy. Does that make sense? You do the same thing within GMB posts. You do the same thing with press releases. You do the same thing on your G site. You do the same thing in the drive stack. Everything ends up getting mirrored to where it's got the same structure. And what happens is you build a shit ton of massive thematic relevance, right? So relevancy, topical relevancy, as well as you build, authority. And it creates a network empire. Used to use a term called buoyancy, right? So by doing so, and you have all of these assets that are all linked properly, and they're all building relevancy in proper categories or content silos, then it starts to create buoyancy across all of the content in every silo. In other words, it helps, what does they say? Rising tides causes all boats to rise. That's what we mean by buoyancy. It helps all of the keywords to start to surface in the search results. I don't know if that was a very clear explanation, but that was the best I could do. Anyone else want to comment on it?
A clone, an exact copy, a duplicate of whatever it is that you're doing. That's all it is. It's just a bunch of fancy words for saying do the same thing over there. The same thing that you're doing here, wherever your money site is, do over there, wherever it is that your theme mirroring. Think of a mirror. What do you see in the mirror? You see the same thing that's looking back at you, right? Same thing. That's all we're saying. I just hate mentioning the word duplicate because then people start saying, well, duplicate content and all this bullshit that we know is bullshit. And I don't want people focusing on that. just copy whatever it is that you're doing, or do the same thing everywhere. And if you do that, then you're theme mirroring.